This platform, being able to broadcast to both live simultaneously is pretty cool. Okay, now we're going to go. So we're live on YouTube. Now we're going to go live on Facebook real quick. Hold on. Continue as me.
I don't want this to be commercialized in any way.
Share on page. Hold on one second. Yeah, YouTube. Anybody who's watching us on YouTube can now see this.
Cool.
But
it's also in 3D.
I love that. Now, Jen, you might have to look on my YouTube channel to see this broadcasting live and to see any questions and relay them to Jeffrey, because I'm going to be paying attention to Facebook. Page I manage.
Okay.
There we go. Going to my page. Next. So we should be broadcasting on my page here in a couple seconds. Live mission.
This is exciting.
Yeah. I mean, technology.
It's not every day to do simultaneous live broadcast.
Yeah.
Probably people will be laughing at this 10 years from now. Like, what were they thinking? I can go live on 100 channels at once.
Right.
And broadcast in, 5-star gigs, 5 million gigabytes a second.
Oh yeah, you guys are live on YouTube, and Tevin says, "Hey Jeffrey, still reading Get It Done. Great book."
Cool. Hey Kevin.
Tevin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tevin, who was at our mastermind group at your house.
Oh, cool. I'll tell you, a lot of people have given comments about their reading the book and loving it. And I think that there's going to be, I think it's one of those books that will just keep blossoming. I think someone's going to get it, going to give it to somebody else, going to get it, going to give it to somebody else. And I think there's going to be a lot of word of book advertising.
Word of book. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a great, I'm going to write that down. Word of book. I'm going to buy that domain.
Wordofbook.com.
Wordofbook.com.
Jeffrey,
wow. Does it look familiar?
Yeah.
What's it say?
Coffee's for closers.
Coffee is for closers. I can't believe how many people haven't seen that movie still.
There you go.
It's unbelievable to me because it is.
We're live now, so you can check there for the comments.
I can check there. Is that my phone?
Yeah, that's your phone.
Oh, cool.
I'm refreshing too, so I can check some comments.
Have fun.
We are live. So let's just preface it with this. If you're watching this live on YouTube or Facebook, there is a delay. So leave your comments. We'll come back and look at them and answer any questions you have. Right, Jeffrey?
Yes.
Okay.
So all questions, no matter how long it takes, even if it takes all day and all night.
Right, as long as that's 60 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time.
So first of all, let me just say thank you for joining me. And for those of you who are joining us live or watching this recorded, it is my great pleasure, my honor to have Jeffrey Gitomer, one of my mentors and now friend and partner in crime with some things that we're working on together on here live with you. Yeah. And we have a lot of things we're going to discuss, but we're going to discuss your new book.
We're both holding a copy. Show your copy a little bit more succinctly, because I signed the cover.
Yes. And
when I gave it to Joe, it was at a magic moment because the book had not even been published yet, according to Amazon. I gave him a copy about 5 days before the official pub date. But I wanted to make it remarkable because it's, you don't realize what your value is until way long after you're dead.
Yeah.
If Napoleon Hill had signed 1,000 copies of his first edition of Think and Grow Rich, of which there were only 5,000 copies printed.
Oh my gosh.
We only have 2 of them. But the challenge is, look at the value, would have been a scant 60, 70 years from now. My kids will have all kinds of copies of the Little Red Book of Selling. I signed a few cases of it, and I'm leaving them for them and for Jen. And just to make sure that the legend of the book continue. I have the Sales Bible signed cases. I have the Little Red Book signed cases. I have a little gold book signed cases. I think those are the ones that will ultimately have long-term value, but got a few cases of these things because I think there's something about productivity and procrastination that many people don't understand the real value of, or how to unlock the procrastination habit and get out of it. They don't understand the value of moving forward in their own life. And they put shit off like, well, I'll just watch this show on Netflix like an idiot.
You know, Jeffrey, this is, what number is this? 14 or 15 books?
Actually, Joe, this is number 16.
This is number 16. I think I've asked you this a couple times. I keep forgetting. Now, I have a few of them with me. Here, I brought some of them down from my office. And, you know, I think your customer loyalty book will also be one that is part of your legacy, because that book takes on customer service in a different light. And I love that. But all the books, for those of you who don't know, Jeffrey wrote the book, The Little Red Book of Selling. And it was one of the two first books I read that he had wrote. The first one I wrote was The Sales Bible, which some of you might recognize. These two books are in like every airport and bookstore still. Yeah. And the first book I read was the second edition of The Sales Bible, which was written in the 80s, but I read it in the early 90s, I think it was. When was it written?
Actually, the first edition came out in 94. The second
94.
In 98.
Okay. So I would have read it like in 90. Yeah, maybe. I think I read the first edition because I would have read it right after college, which is right around 96.
Yeah.
So I might have caught the second edition right when it came out. Because I graduated college in 96. I'm dating myself, which would be about when I read it.
That's not a big date, Joe.
Here's we're dating. I'm dating myself. Someone's going, Joe's not that old.
I have underwear from 96.
You have underwear from 96. But here's the thing. The reason why I'm pointing this out is that a lot of people know you as the king of sales. You are probably the one of the most well-known and influential people on the subject of sales. You are not the expert. You are the authority, I think, on the subject. And quite honestly, everybody else who's written after you are following in the principles and in your footsteps. And I know you're going to talk about maybe a couple people that you followed in, because you bring up a couple in here. But this book is different. This is not a book. First of all, this is not a book on sales, but it's for sales professionals. This is not a book on management or leadership or attitude, but it's for all those things.
Let me go back for just 1 second. In 1994,
okay,
I joined the National Speakers Association at the behest of Tai Boyd, the great Tai Boyd.
Oh, yeah.
It was $500 to join. I had $700 in the bank.
Oh my gosh.
At his instruction, I took the money out and bought it because there was a conference here in Charlotte. And when you bought the membership, it paid for the conference. Okay, fine. So I go to the conference and I'm at the speakers roundtable kind of thing where one expert talks to a bunch of speakers. And I only had to take what was left because I came in late and I got this guy named Bert Dubin who coached other speakers. And
I remember him.
He sat down at the table and he started out by saying, there's 3 kinds of experts. There's an expert, there's a world-class expert, and there's the world-class expert.
Yeah.
And I never heard another word. I wrote it down. I was mesmerized by it. And I said, this guy, either through God or through serendipity or something, has delivered a message to me. And my job is to fulfill it. And at that time, the Sales Bible was not out yet. It was a month away from being published, but it was in the can, it was at the printer. And it was just absolutely unbelievable. It was like I had the message was delivered to me. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. Not only that, you went and acted on it. You didn't
procrastinate. I've thanked him 100 times.
Bert?
Yeah. Oh, face to face. Every time I see him, I sit him down and go, look what happened.
Yeah.
You delivered. Sometimes people take a message as, oh, yeah. Sometimes people take it as a challenge, but sometimes people take it as a mission. And I want you to think about, if you're listening to this interview, what message was delivered to you by a friend or a mentor or a customer or a parent or even a boss that you took as, wow, I'm now on a mission.
Well,
There's a big
let me
difference
share,
Yeah,
let me share what you did for me
cool.
based on that. So, and I know it came through also in the Sales Bible, but in this book, it really came through with giving value first. And you know, you hear people talking about it now, and so in the context of social media, content marketing, you hear people like Gary Vee and everybody else shout out, give value first, show your worth, and demonstrate your competence and knowledge. But you were saying it back, you know,
Yeah.
in the 90s with your book on sales, and it was the first time I was reading and hearing it, and maybe it was the first time I was willing to accept it in, right? But when I was getting that message, it became a mission for me. People who are, you know, inside of my circle or my audience, they've been in my courses or my programs or my events, will tell you, Jeffrey, and having not even met you, that, you know, I speak and preach about it so much that it's my message now. So you handed it off to me, but it became something very important to me to give value first. It's how I approach every client relationship. It's, in fact, sometimes I think I'm giving too much, but I don't know that you could ever really give too much value.
No.
As long as, you know, your heart's in it to create an ultimate win-win for each other.
I'm going to throw this at you. As many people know, I dropped out of college. I could have dropped out of any school, but I chose to drop at Temple University, where I majored in marketing and management. The marketing class that I took was so complicated that I had to drop it. It had formulas, it had mathematics, I'm like, what the hell is this? So I skipped it, even though it was my quote major. And fast forward 20 years, I developed a philosophy and a strategy that I've never read any place, never seen any place. And it's very simple. It's one sentence. I put myself in front of people that can say yes to me, and I deliver value first. Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
That is my philosophy of business, of life, and especially of sales and marketing.
I hope everyone writes that down. Yep.
Yeah, it's simple, but you don't add value, you don't create value, you give value. Because if you create it, it doesn't mean you've necessarily transferred it. Yeah. And if you add it, what it means is there's an expectation to buy as a result of it. I just freely give it. Because if you do that and you don't mark it down, you don't say, oh, that guy owes me one. I don't want to be owed one.
You're not keeping score.
Right. I want the world to pay me back. Then the world pays me back times 10 every time. Yeah. So look at it from that perspective. And what can you do in your marketplace as a listener to this? What can you do in your marketplace that shows you are a value giver? Because if you can show that, whether it's through a charity, whether it's through a speech, like I volunteered at the Chamber of Commerce in Charlotte, which is one of the top 10 chambers in the country, to deliver the new member orientation every month. I did it every month for 4 years.
Wow, really?
There was about 100 people in the room every time. And every single time I gave it, Joe, I got a client.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
One lady was a publisher's agent, and she got the Sales Bible printed in Chinese.
Brilliant.
I got an $18,000 advance for my book in Chinese.
Which probably never happens.
I don't know. I listen, all I know is this. Awesome. I'm a value giver. Yeah. And I hone in on my speaking talents and my speaking capabilities by simply videotaping. I guess I don't know whether that's still a word or not. By recording all of the talks that I give in video. Yeah. And by doing that, I get to review myself. I'm my own video coach because nobody is harder on me than me. And I've been doing it literally since the early 90s, and it works. It's just, it works.
I love the example of volunteering your time for 4 years for an organization where you can give without the expectation of getting clients, but you're going to get clients because of the nature of the work. You know, and there's a lot of ways people could apply that who are listening right now. And I'm a big advocate for that. I love this. So, okay. So I have pages of notes here for to ask you about your new book.
Okay. Cool.
Couple things. First of all, for those of you who don't have a copy of this book yet, I know what you're waiting for. There should be a link in the title of this video that I dropped a couple links in there, but you will have one. And you can get it on Amazon, correct? Is it sold out yet?
They tried to. They got down to 4 copies, and then all of a sudden there was more copies left.
Yeah, of course. They're staying on top of it. So,
yeah.
But it's beautiful. It's beautiful inside. So it's like all your books, to be honest. I don't know how you get away with getting it this way. I love the way your quotes are displayed. I love the way your bullet points are displayed, your headlines, your titles, everything. So just that's a side note. But I have some specific questions if you don't mind me kind of digging into a few of these principles. Because I want people to get value out of this for like, what is this book about? So it's called Get Shit Done. You know, I heard you say on a podcast, you can't sell any books nowadays unless it's got the word shit in it. But, you know, or the F word, right? So the ultimate guide to productivity, procrastination, and profitability. I love that. So, well, how did you title this, first of all, and what motivated you, or how did the book come to be? Then I want to dive into some specific questions.
I created the subtitle.
You did.
Matt Holt from Wiley called me up and said, "Hey, you need to write this book. It's called Get Shit Done." I said, "All right." And literally, that's how it came about. Mm-hmm. But it's getting shit done is one thing. Talking about what the elements of it are is another thing. So I wanted to talk about productivity, procrastination, and profitability, because everybody on the planet is looking to make more profit.
Yeah.
Not make more sales, make more profit. Right. Because if you make sales and you make no profit, you've literally done nothing. And I figured out that if you can eliminate the productivity, if you can eliminate the procrastination part of your productivity, you can literally double down on your activity and win a hell of a lot more, thereby leading to more profit. And that's the essence of it.
And I think that's the essence of what makes this so different for those people who are watching, who are comparing this to. Is this going to be similar to other productivity books that are out there? There's nothing like this. Yeah. And I love that you just took on challenge of writing the book and decided to make it your own. You know, you took your own spin on it. You applied real life examples in it. But I want to talk about a few things that really stood out for me. So one, and some of it's just selfish, if you don't mind, because I've always said I'm a night person. And in the book, you squashed this concept of you can't be very hard to be a nightlife guy, and be able to be productive. So you have a chapter on switching, or a section on switching from a night person to a morning person. And you said for, I think, 43 years you were a quote unquote night person. I think that was the quote and I'm just going to have from memory. Share with us some insight on that. And for those, a lot of people who watch this go, "Oh, I'm a night person. I like to sleep in, or I don't get up early. I don't do well in the mornings."
First of all, if you think you're a night person, at the end of your day, you've had it. And people will have beer, have a glass of wine, have something to quote drink, watch something stupid on television, and get either
work late.
Yeah, work late. That's okay too, but you can't give it your best. Your best is when you first wake up in the morning. That is your best. And if you do that and spend just an hour with yourself in the morning, you'll have 5 times more productivity than you did for that hour that you spent by yourself at night. Because you're thinking about everything else you got to do for the next day. If you want to do something at night, write down everything you need to do the next day so your mind is clear. That's the one thing you need to do at night. And after that, you're pretty much good to go. Now, have I written at night? Sure. Do I write in the morning? Sure. I write anywhere. I have the habit of writing, so it's a good one for me. And I can standing up, sitting down, lying down, whatever, dictate, type anything. I can write. I'm a writer. But for the person who is looking to increase their productivity, morning is the time to make that happen. Get up an hour earlier than anybody else on the planet and work for yourself. Don't do shit for other people. Do things for yourself. Don't be a martyr. I gave you the best years of my life. What do you do that for? They're the best years. Keep a couple for yourself. The challenge that you have is you can't be your best person. You can't be the best mom. You can't be the best dad. You can't be the best salesperson until you're the best person for yourself. And you do that by producing. You also can gather wisdom in the morning that you normally couldn't gather if you're trying to do it in the heat of the day. That's a given. So one of the things that Joe has seen in my library is this book, He Can Who Thinks He Can by Orson Swett Marden. This particular copy was owned by John Patterson, the founder of the National Cash Register Company. And this is his personally underlined copy. And I've taken several of the quotes from that, which are totally timeless. It's a 110 years old book. And I put them into this Get Shit Done book. A lot of them are inspirational things about productivity, but more clearly here, this is one of them. The world makes way for the man with an idea.
Yeah.
Come on. But there's one quote in here.
1908, he wrote that.
1908, right.
Unbelievable.
And I talk about in my 7-figure formula course or program that your competitive advantage is created from an idea.
Yeah.
You create your own competitive advantage. People don't understand that. They think it's got to be something that you have that the competition doesn't have, which is total bullshit. But in the Orson Swett Marden book, there's a quote. And if you buy this book, this one page will help you make it worth your while. It says, hopefully I can get this in the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Every child
should be taught to expect success. Every child should be taught to expect success. Now, this is written in 1908. This year for my daughter's, and she's in the 5th grade, I photocopied the quote, or I actually printed out extra copies of it. I gave it to all the teachers in the school. I gave it to Gabrielle. We took Instagram. If you go to my Instagram account, Jeffrey Gitomer, and of course, follow me. But look for this one picture. It's in the first 4 or 5 pictures in my Instagram photo library. And it's a mantra.
Yeah.
And I can promise you this, if you teach a kid to be successful, they will automatically produce more because they'll be striving for their own success.
Yeah. For themselves, not for other people.
Of course.
Yeah. It's brilliant. I love it. Okay. Let's keep going on some of these questions. This is good. And one of the questions I had, you're talking about it, but you dedicated a whole book to Orson Swett Marden.
Yeah.
And you do share in that chapter several of his quotes that were underlined pieces of text from Patterson, right?
Yep.
In the book that you
understand
just
this.
Gold.
Orson Swett Marden was Napoleon Hill's inspiration.
Yeah, people have no idea. So tell us about him. So he was like, that's it, right? I mean, he was Napoleon Hill. Who did Napoleon Hill look up to?
Yeah, he founded Success Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in the early pieces of Napoleon Hill that I put into the Truthful Living book, there's a list of recommended reading that Napoleon Hill has at the end of the book, and the recommended reading includes 4 books by Orson Swett Marden. Geez, what a surprise!
Yeah, yep.
What a surprise!
Awesome.
And so the challenge for anybody is to understand you may not be original, but you can still be best. You can take this. You can take these words as
that's really good too.
To action, or you can take them as I read that book. Like really? Today I had an earlier interview with the great Harvey Mackay this morning, and he's an inspiration to me. Yeah, exactly. From the interview, I still have his book sitting here on the table. But look at the Post-it note that I put inside the books.
Yeah.
That's how I read a book. But his statement to me caused me to do it that way when he said to me 25 years ago,
"Go read the book. Yeah.
Study it." And I said, okay. Like I didn't know that was like the mantra. He was giving me personal advice. But he gives that advice to everybody. The problem is very few people take it.
Yeah. And that's the thing with a book like the one you just wrote, Get Shit Done. It's easy to say, okay, and some of these things in here, but you give people actionable advice in this book.
Oh yeah.
I love some of the lists. So for example, on page 100, you talk about that that this advice of getting shit done is 100 years old, and you talk about the 5-point rule that Napoleon Hill spoke about.
Yeah.
And I need to turn to the actual page because I didn't write all of them down, but I have it right here as well.
It's interesting that the 100-year-old
I love that. You said it's a 100-year-old secret formula.
Yeah.
I love it. But these are things, you say, I mean, you talk about these, but these are things that you spend a great deal of time on in your books, which is self-confidence, enthusiasm, working with a chief aim, performing more service than you are paid for. I love that. And concentration, which some people might think is also focus because of all the distractions that we have nowadays. And you speak a lot about that.
Phone dings for the things is my statement.
Let's go there on the distractions because you have a chapter on time bombs. Which I love that name, time bombs. That's something I think will become a phrase people will use in the workplace where they'll be like, "Hey, that's a time bomb." Like, which is a mental and physical distraction. You talk about these. In fact, you have people rate themselves on all these mental and physical. I started to rate myself. I just gave up. Like I'm a 1 on all these things, right? And I'm a pretty good manager of my time, all things considering, with as many children I have. But I'm constantly needing to work on it. My wife's reminding me of that. So talk about mental and physical distractions. Like, how do people get more focused, Jeffrey?
I'm going to just read a couple of things.
Okay.
From this page, it's your shit use of time. And people don't understand. They don't understand the time wasters or the time use inhibitors that get in the way of genuine productivity for yourself. Too many alerts, irrelevant people, phone calls and texts you can avoid, meetings, drinking to dull your life, TV, Netflix, Hulu, and I can add to that YouTube, although not this YouTube.
we're streaming live on YouTube right now. Okay.
Addiction, time diversions, non-priorities, goal distractions, the NAT factor, which is how many, what's your concentration amount of time. The moth to a light bulb factor, which salespeople,
oh my gosh,
total victims of, and other people's drama. Now, other people's drama can take place in 2 areas. Number 1, television, where you're watching some drama thing,
or some sort of reality TV like The Housewives or something drama.
Yeah, or like in your living room drama.
Yeah. Or Facebook. People post their drama on Facebook and people get caught up in their lives.
All the time.
All the time. I love that. Paying too much attention to other people's shit.
So here's the deal.
Not enough attention to yours. I love that. It's gold.
If you want to get shit done, first you have to get your shit together. That's a quote. And I think that not enough people will say, geez, I really need to get my shit together. Like, dude, you're giving yourself the order to do it. It's not difficult. Yeah. It's just a distraction.
Yeah.
And if you can eliminate the distractions, if you can eliminate the useless things that are in your life at this moment in time, you will automatically have more time to spend with yourself. But it's invest in yourself, not just spend in yourself. That's number 1. And number 2, what I've said to people is quit your to-do lists. By the way, the one thing that's missing in this is anything having to do with a to-do list.
I noticed.
It's 100 years old, and it's bullshit. So take your calendar, which you now live your life by. You wake up in the morning and you look at either your Google Calendar or your iPhone or whatever, and you see all the shit you have to do during the day. But you'll see open time in there. You'll see open slots. Fill them. Give yourself your own self-direction of stuff you have to do to make your entire day productive. That will double your productivity the first day you start it. I promise. So your calendar has to be full of things for you. You have to, like, even if it's going to get your shirts at the cleaner, at least it's for you. The other day I had to get my daughter a birthday cake. It's for me. But the bottom line is, think about the person you have to call, the connection you have to make, the article you have to write, the proposal you have to write, the things you have to post, the tweets you have to make, the YouTube videos you have to make. Think of those things. They're like, oh my God, I have so many things to do. And I'm worried about if my old high school boyfriend got fat. That's the notification I get on my phone. What are you, nuts? I mean, seriously, turn that shit off.
Turn off the browser notifications, the phone, the Facebook Messenger notifications, and I don't have Facebook Messenger notifications on my phone. I don't have any type of push notification. I never accept those on the browsers. Although they work for marketing, I don't accept them because they're just such a distraction of time. You also talk about your posted goals and getting the goals in front of your face. Right? You said put the goals in front of your face. That's what you actually write. So you actually have these in your mirror?
In my bathroom mirror, and there's pages in the book that will show it to you. But I have a series of Post-it notes on my bathroom mirror, and they tell me when I get out of the shower in the morning, when I brush my teeth at night, they tell me what to do. They tell me what I got to do now. They go, oh, I got to work on this. So I put that into my daily list of things that I have to do. And even if I only spend an hour on it, I'm not much closer to completion. Believe me, I'm not perfect. I say in the beginning of this book, I wrote this book for me.
It's all of our problem. Yeah.
I wrote this book for me. I can't get shit done either. But at least I wrote the book. And I brought it to my own attention the same way I'm bringing it to your attention. I wrote this book as a productivity tool for myself, selfishly. And you know what's going to happen? Other people will love it because they'll be able to relate to the fact that the author's a piece of non-productive crap himself. And it's not that easy to be productive. It's just not. And you have to put yourself in the position where at least you have an opportunity to recognize where your productivity lacking is and calendar yourself to be more productive. It's not that difficult. Just fill in the blanks, allocate your time, don't manage your time.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? I love that, by the way. So it's not about like keeping for you a calendar planner and all this. It's about allocating blocks of time. Do you believe in time blocking?
I believe in telling myself it's time to get shit done.
Yeah.
And then actually doing it. If time blocking is a way to do it, then do it.
Yeah. I do time blocking, but
that's okay.
You still got to be able to, motivate yourself. And then, you talk about one of my favorite sentences in the entire book is a 4-word sentence. And you said procrastination is a symptom.
Correct.
I can't tell you how many times I reread that over and over to try and think about, how many times we all procrastinate stuff and we're putting stuff off all the time. We tell ourselves stories that allow us to accept certain excuses for why we're putting shit off. So why don't you share what you mean by procrastination is just a symptom? Because I think that's deep.
Back to
I think that's like thought leadership stuff that's pretty deep for people to just sit and stew on.
It ain't that.
They're trying to work on time management and they're trying to work on procrastination. How do I not procrastinate? That's not what they should be working on, is it?
No. Go back to college and remember the day before an exam.
Okay.
And you did what's called cram.
Yeah, right. With Mountain Dew.
And Mountain Dew, because we hadn't got.
We didn't have Red Bull back then.
Right. And
we had Jolt.
You had the Cliff Notebooks. And I did coffee, and I would study with a buddy of mine, and we would try to communicate what we thought the answers were going to be. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. But the bottom line is, you waited till the last second to produce.
Yeah.
And it was too late to produce, and so instead of getting a B, you got either a C or a D. That's me. C or D.
Instead of an A, you got a B for the smart ones out there, which wasn't me.
I had money in my pocket because I sold homework. I sold my bookie. I
Yeah.
charged people back and forth to go to class. Always had money in my pocket, but I didn't have the knowledge that was being given to me by the school, and ultimately left.
Mhm.
So when I showed up in Europe, I showed up in London in my 20th year. I dropped out of school. It wasn't doing me any good. I got there and I knew everything. I'm the smartest guy in the world until I realized that I go to Sir Walter Raleigh's house and I go, who's that guy? 1100? Wait, 1492, 1100? These guys were more civilized than we were 500 years before we were civilized. Same in Paris. You go to Notre Dame, built in 1200. Like, dude. So I decided, once I realized I knew nothing, to dedicate myself to learning something new, one thing new every day. That's all. And I've been doing that for the past 50 something years. I don't want to say how long, but 50 something years.
That's awesome.
And once you realize you don't.
Do you write it down? Do you record it?
Oh, yeah. I write it down. I record it. I do something with it that allows me to implement. Yeah. So if you just know it for the moment, I try to implement it same day, sometimes same hour.
I mean, think about how many thousands of things new that you learn over the course of the years. Because you know, one of the things, you know, I had a gentleman say to me one time. I remember being young in business, and I was like 28 years old, and I remember him using his experience against me, saying, "Oh, I have like 33 years of experience," and he was really terrible at what he did. Nobody respected him. He was really an awful leader, if you will, and that's about all the context I'll divulge. But I remember thinking, I don't think I said it to him, but I remember thinking, yeah, but you've got 33 years of experience of doing the same thing over and over really badly. Like this, you know, you don't look like you got any better. You know, like I hope by the time I have 33 years of experience, I've got some level of mastery in something. And this concept of even just learning one thing per day, you know, is pretty powerful. And I know it's kind of aside from what we're talking about, but that's what we're talking about. No, that's the symptom. That's the symptom that causes. These are things that cause you to be unproductive. It's really the mindset, isn't it? It's this.
So somebody says, "Hey Jeffrey, what's new?" I'm like, "How can I tell you?" It's like the Holden Caulfield line. How do you
There's so many things that are new.
And so that's how I keep it fresh. And I'm a reader. I buy old things. I look at old things. This is a book that I'm a fan of. Walt Whitman, the poet who wrote Leaves of Grass, the book Leaves of Grass. And because I had to memorize Captain, My Captain when I was in the 7th or 8th grade. But this is what I didn't know. He was given. Ooh.
Don't break it.
He was going to quit being a poet. He didn't like
being a poet?
Yeah, he was going to quit being a poet. He lived in Camden, New Jersey, like 5 miles from me, but a century before.
Okay.
And he was given this letter by Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Oh my gosh.
That says, "Hey, Walt,
don't quit.
I love your work. Yeah, I love your work. Don't quit."
Oh my God.
Now imagine being encouraged by one of the greatest writers in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
How do you quit after that?
Yeah.
Answer is you don't quit. And he went on to write some of the greatest poetry, some of the most inspirational words of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get down to the studio next week and I'm going to read "Oh Captain, My Captain." Cry while I'm reading it. Yeah. But the only time you'll see it is if you decide to come to my funeral.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love this discussion on things that maybe inspire motivated people to continue their work and do their work.
Yeah.
So because where would you have been, right? Like we so many of the what good value is in the institutions that are out there that are teaching Emerson, they wouldn't even have that, right?
Exactly.
So
I'm going to by the way.
I want to remind everybody because we're talking about the symptoms here. Yeah,
you can go on eBay and get this volume of the book, Leaves of Grass. It looks like this. It was. Let's see if I can give you the exact. It's written by. It's a Doubleday publication from 1940. So make sure you get the right one. It's Introduction by Christopher Morley, a great novelist. And you can look at some of the graphics that are in there. The Song of Myself, where he writes all about himself with people like he's in a field. I mean, just,
Oh my gosh.
it's beautiful graphics. And you can buy it for cheap. Like it's under $50 to buy the book. Yeah, go get it and read it.
Find your inspiration. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a couple of times you talk about this in the book. Early on, you have a chapter called "What Powers Your Do Engine," and but also in the chapter on where you talk about procrastination, and it's sales and time. It's in that chapter. But when you talk about procrastination being a symptom, you also talk about this. You don't talk about this. You reference back without even knowing it. You say, look for the early warning signs that cause procrastination. And the first one is you hate your job.
Right.
Okay. Now that could also be like you hate the work you're doing if you're an entrepreneur, because some people are getting themselves into an entrepreneurial role that they don't like. And then the other ones you have, you're cynical. You took a time management course that didn't work. You lie about lateness. You invent. I love that you just go right to the point. You lie about lateness. No one's willing to tell people that in most of the books, by the way. You make excuses similar to the dog ate my homework.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you say you hate your job, early on in the book, in the chapter, what powers your do, you talk about loving what you do, and I know we've heard this before, but the way you talk about it, I think, is special. So. Do you think that that's one of the major symptoms to why people procrastinate? They just don't freaking like what they're doing.
Yeah. That's an understatement, because not only do they not like what they're doing.
Yeah, you wrote you hate what you do.
They're surrounded by. So, boss, I don't like.
Surrounded by people you don't like either.
Right.
Yeah.
And that multiplies the shit of it.
Yeah.
So when I first met you and I realized that you had a passion for what you do, and a passion for your family,
yes,
that is what drew me to friendship with you.
Well, I appreciate that.
It wasn't necessarily your content, although your content was compelling. It was the love of content.
Yeah.
And it was the love of family. And for those of you who don't know Joe, he has his calendar of things to do revolve around his kids' activities.
Yeah. It's true.
There is, think of the people you know and say, oh, my kid's got a ball game tonight, but I got to go to this meeting. That's not Joe Soto. Yeah. He says, my kid's got a ball game tonight. I can't go to this meeting.
Right. No matter what.
Right. There's one kid, there's one person in a million who does that, and he's doing the right thing, not by example. He is literally setting a standard. So next Sunday, Gabrielle Gitomer is running her 5K for Girls on the Run.
Nice. I love that.
My ass will have my jogging clothes on, and I'll be running it with her.
Awesome.
And I can't wait until after like the first mile marker, she'll pass a portable toilet and look at me and go, "You got to pee?"
That's awesome. Girls on the Run.
Yeah. So we run holding hands, and Jen's going to run with us this year. But awesome. Thousands of kids come out to run the Girls on the Run, like a major national club. And it's right here in Charlotte, literally 5 blocks away. I go over there and buy all of the swag, the latest T-shirt and the latest.
You're giving me some heads up. I got a couple of girls that could have used that race.
It only goes until I think the 6th grade. Or maybe she may be in her last year of it now.
Yeah, neat.
But the bottom line is, it teaches women, young women, empowerment, because they give other lessons, not just running stuff. Mm-hmm. But every twice a week, it's Girls on the Run. So much fun, and they meet after school, and it's a wonderful program. But I have to participate as a dad, or what kind of a dad am I?
Right.
So for the last 2 years, we've run it. Then this year I'm going to run it again with her. Am I qualified to run a 5K? Probably not anymore, but am I going to do it? Even if my ass falls off.
Yeah, even if your ass, you figure it out.
Exactly.
You figure it out.
I'll try to look as nice as I possibly can. We have all kinds of people that I've not said hello to. Oh wow, Lenee's on. Cool. Jennifer, Jeff, Alex, Lisa, um,
People here.
people that are saying hey on this particular live
Hey,
broadcast.
Jeff's on here. Hey, Jeff.
Yeah. So take a look at who's here.
I'll
Take a
find
look
it.
at what they're saying. But more important, thousands of people are going to watch this from my channel, from your channel. And the question is, what are they going to do with it? Wow, that was really good. Or wow, that was a long thing. No. I'm trying my best to virtually kick your ass into being a little bit more productive on a daily basis, because if you can only give yourself an extra hour a day, at the end of a year, you'll have 15 full 24-hour days that you've given to yourself for productivity. An hour a day. And don't give me the bullshit of you don't have the time. Everyone has time. I have the same amount of time as you do. I have the same amount of time as anybody else on the planet does. But I take my time, my personal time, for me.
Yeah. You have a 22.5 list on how to achieve in this book that I thought was pure gold. I think people will be photocopying those 2 pages.
Oh yeah, that's why.
But
by the way,
but it's prefaced with a good quote. Say again.
I put my name at the top of every page
because you know people will be
exactly. If
yeah.
you try to photocopy it and claim it for yourself, my name's on it.
Yeah,
at least give you a little bit of guilt.
That's a great tip, by the way. But you have a quote prior to that list that I have dog ear here. It's a long one, but
yep.
I love it. Says paying attention breeds new ideas. Paying attention is one of the fundamental steps in achievement. How much of an achiever are you? What want to achieve more? Want the formula? Well, there is no formula, but there are elements to master. And then you go on and list 22. And I'm not going to go through them all, but every one of them, stops and makes people think. One of my favorite postcards I got one time. It shows a billboard, and there's 2 guys standing there looking up at it, and the billboard says, "Stop and think." And the caption underneath the guy says, "Kind of makes you stop and think, doesn't it?" I love that postcard. I have to get my hands on it again. Well, this chapter on how to achieve kind of made me stop and think, because a few things you take for granted, like the love it or leave it. There again, it's a recurring pattern in your book about loving what you do, because that'll cure the symptom of getting your shit done. People, it's probably very clear that people like Elon Musk maybe love what they're doing. They're extremely passionate and they're getting a lot of shit done.
I do.
Most of the people that I know, say again.
I love what I do every second of every day. I never say, "Oh shit, I don't like this."
Well, I've had projects and times in my own entrepreneurial journey. Can hardly say that damn word. Where my wife would call me out on not getting shit done. And it always could come back to, for me personally, and there's all these other things about achievement in this chapter that I love, and I think you guys should buy the book so you can read these 22.5 things. But for me, it always pointed back to, if there was something I wasn't getting done, it's because I wasn't enjoying the process. And so some things you have to figure out how to enjoy the process if it's to a bigger goal that you're trying to achieve. But there's other things, it's like you just got to kill it. Kill it and move on. And yours was like love it or leave it. And then you have a few other things like finding mentors who have already done it. So, which led me to a question I wrote down in my book, which is who were a couple of your mentors that you looked up to that motivated you or inspired you to get your shit done? Who was your Whitman?
I have first my dad, who passed away in 1998. So I've been literally a fatherless person for the past 30 years. 20 years. But more important than that, I had other people just kind of come into my life at given times, and they became mentors to me. I mentioned them in books, Mel Green, Portnoy, and Harvey Mackay. And all of these people, Joe, had some kind of wisdom that they gave me, and I wrote it down. or I marked it as something that was indelibly etched into my forehead so that every time I would think about something, they would pop up. And I'll just give you an example. This guy, Mel Green, who owned a screen printing company in Chicago, they were doing about $100 million a year. We used their equipment. When I sold my business, they hired me as a consultant to go around the country and teach their printers to do what I did. Okay, fine. But Mel always looked at me like one of his sons, and he would pick me up at my hotel in the morning as I'm going into Chicago in the freezing freaking cold. And we would talk in the car on the way in. And one morning I said, Mel, you are arguably the luckiest person I've ever seen in business. Every idea you have, everything that you do somehow turns into gold. I can't believe your luck. And he, without hesitation, said, Jeffrey, hard work makes luck. Oh. And I didn't say anything for the next couple of miles down the road, but I'm thinking, hard work makes luck. Why didn't I think of that? There's nothing that I need to do more than work my ass off. And all of a sudden, I get lucky. It's one of those unbelievable things.
All of a sudden, you put it in high gear. So the people who are lazy and sit on the couch aren't going to get lucky.
Right. When I left the textile screen printing business, and I left because I didn't want Earl Portnoy to invest in our company because I didn't like how my partners were acting, and I sold my portion to them and quit. And I would call Earl and go, Earl, I started to do consulting for other textile screen printing companies because they didn't know how to run their business and they didn't know how to sell. And I'd go, Earl, I'm in San Diego, I just made $5,000. I'm in Phoenix, I just made $5,000. I'm in Dayton, Ohio, I just made $10,000. He goes, Jeffrey, you make 5,000 here, you make 10,000 there. You want to make $1 million? I go, yeah. He said, stand still. Oh, wow. Like, oh. And now, as I sit in my still in Charlotte, where I've been for 20 years.
Yeah.
I get on an airplane every once in a while, but I'm here. I'm planted. My library is here. My company is here. My wife is here. My kids are here. My grandkids are here. I'm here.
Yeah.
And that piece of advice is just timeless, and it's wonderful. So think about it from a standpoint of what it is that you, if you're watching this interview, what do you do that you need to alter, you need to add, that you don't have right now, that you know you should have, and what will it take for you to put it into your life? And you can't say whatever it takes, because that's a bullshit answer. You have to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it by this. By October 31st, by November 31st, there is no October, there is no November 31st. By November 30th, by December 31st, I'm going to do it by this time. And I advise people, like right now, we're in November. It's almost Thanksgiving. It'll be Thanksgiving next week. What are you going to do between now and the end of the year that will jump you into 2020?
With momentum.
And the answer is probably not enough. You're like going, well, on New Year's Eve, I'm going to make a bunch of goals. Like, seriously? When you're dead drunk? And, well, I'm going to be a better person. That's bullshit. People make New Year's resolutions that never get achieved. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to take off the bullshit. Start it today. One of the things in achievement, my 22.5 rules of achievement is start now. Start today. Whatever you're going to do, start it immediately. And if you do, automatically, you can achieve something by the end of the year, not start something at the end of the year.
I love that. Yeah.
It seems obvious.
There's a lot of people who are putting everything off right now because they use the excuse, I'll get started at the new year.
Right. Which is bullshit.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to talk about before we finish up. You literally wrote the book on attitude.
Yes.
the little gold book of Yes Attitude. It's a book I bought for all of my kids, and it's awesome, and you in fact have a new edition of it. But
Mhm.
you do touch on attitude. In fact, there's an attitude that permeates throughout the entire book. You quote Martin towards the end of the book again. I mean, this is a quote from 1908, and he says, "Self-reliance is the best capital in the world. Self-deprecation is a crime." Like, I love that quote because, first of all, I talked a lot about self-responsibility in my courses, my programs. It's a cornerstone for how I start my programs. It's all about self-reliance, but that quote is like that is the best capital in the world. If it's you.
No one's going to do it for you. If you think, my dad always said money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah, mine too.
Unfortunately for me in my early life,
that was good or bad.
it did. I had anything I wanted. And then you reach that point where you're 20 something and you go, shit, I got to do this for myself. And you start to do it and you realize, oh, it actually doesn't grow on trees. Then you figure out your own way.
Yeah.
And for me, it was, I'm either going to do what I love or I'm not going to do it. Like, I don't like this. I'm out of this. And I figured out on my own self-reliance that the first thing I had to do was love what I was doing. And I loved to sell. I just loved it. And then I figured out that I love to write. I go, oh, wow, I love this.
Yeah.
And then I figured out, wow, I can give a speech. I love this. This is so much fun. So selling, speaking, writing became three passions of business for me that have emerged into wealth. But if I didn't love it, how good would I really be at it? Like, oh, shit, I got to write a book. Like, seriously? Because you labor over something rather than linger over something that causes your juices to start to form into creative juices. Then you win.
I'm not going to give away the secret in the book because I want people to buy the book and read this for themselves. We don't have time to read through all this stuff. But you do talk about overcoming that first step paralysis. And you give people a lot of actionable advice. We're talking about a lot of concepts here because I think that the level of thinking that you put in this book that makes people stop and think is priceless. And I don't even know if you realize how, I know you did this book in such a short amount of time. I don't know how you did this in
a 3-month period of time.
Well, I don't know how you did it. I mean, I do. It's a correlation of all the years of experience. It's just sitting in your head.
Right.
But it's awesome. I also going to mention another one of Martin's quotes in this book, which is really cool, which is people, because you've said this actually, not in a, I'm going to quote Martin, but just in you talking, which is people don't realize the immense value of utilizing spare minutes.
How powerful is that?
That's so powerful. If people stop and audit their time for a day, how many spare minutes do you think they have of just total waste?
Totally. Like
just hours. It's probably a few hours.
And so you read some bullshit
on Facebook. Something catches your attention on YouTube, or
come on, do this for yourself. Whoever's watching, wherever you are in the world, do things for yourself. And when you do, and you get better, you automatically become better for the world, for your customers, for your business, and for your family. You need to be a great person for your family, because if you are, they'll encourage you to do more. They'll be happy. They'll be jumping up and down so that when you come home at night, oh, mommy's home. Oh, daddy's home. That's what you're looking for.
It's worth it. Yeah.
Totally worth it. I mean,
makes it worth it.
Yeah.
It's definitely my why.
Yeah. The value of hug, Joe, the value of hug. Come on.
Oh man. Yeah, you can't. I'll stop everything. I'll be in the middle of the most important thing sometimes, and I'll go up until I'll be working from home, and I'll go upstairs or something, and my wife's like, sorry, he's my 1-year-old Denver. He's like 15 months now or something like that. He'll stop and just like let me give me a hug and like grab on me. I'm like, everybody has time for this. Right. Like I don't care. I could be Jeffrey Gitomer could be waiting for me on a live right now. He's gonna wait on Denver's hug.
Yeah, I'll wait in a minute.
Yeah. So lastly, for everybody watching, special treat, Jeffrey Gitomer is joining me in January 10th through the 12th in Dulles, Virginia, right outside the airport. We're nailing down the airport, or the hotel. Depending on when you're watching this, you might be watching this after the event's already been finished if you watch the recording of this. But if you're watching this live or around the live of this broadcast, and you are a coach or a consultant, a marketing agency owner, or you sell professional services, if you have a professional services firm of any sort, I would just, everything short of maybe rescheduling your daughter's wedding, I would probably come to this event.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make mention, a really good friend of mine, Bill Frasinetti, is watching.
Okay.
And Bill Frasinetti is in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I first moved to Charlotte, he was a clothing salesperson, and he was representative of a tie company or a bunch of tie companies. And I would buy his season-ended ties for like $10 a pop. So I never wore the same tie twice. Literally, I was like Jerry Lewis.
Awesome.
And we became friends. Now he does real estate. He makes a ton of money. He's a really good guy, but he's a follower. He's a student. Mm-hmm. And the reason he has become as successful as he is not because he's not necessarily a great salesperson, although he is, but he's a great person. And he's a nice person. And he's an honest person. And when you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, those are qualities that you can't not have. And Fraz has done it. And I'll see him at Einstein's and we'll talk about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Jeffrey.
Yeah, I got asked by Facebook if I'm reporting a problem. No, I'm not. I'm reporting an answer.
I just saw Hung Mai wrote, if I'm pronouncing it right. He says, "Can't wait to see you both live in January."
Cool.
Jose says, "Big fan of you and your work, Joe. Thanks, Jose. Got introduced to you via Tai Lopez's SMMA program." Well, anything around sales that I've taught in Tai's program came from this guy right here. So this has really been a pleasure to spend time with and interview my mentor, somebody who inspires me to get shit done. And honestly, your team, Jeffrey, just real quick shout out to your team, including your wife, Jennifer. You guys are the epitome of everything in this book. You guys work fast, you implement, you execute, you guys get shit done. It's inspiring. It's a little bit humbling to work with you guys and watch how fast you guys implement and execute. It's really cool. So you're living this stuff, even though we're all working on it together. And I appreciate you taking the time and can't wait to have you at the January live event. Jeffrey and I are going to be doing some other things in 2019 together. So definitely stay tuned for that. But if you do not have your ticket to my live event yet, go to mamweekend.com. And Jeffrey's face is right on that page. So MAM stands for Marketing Agency Mastermind, although that weekend is really for anybody who's a consultant or a coach, or like I said, a professional service firm. And they can come and get your 7-figure sales formula talk that you're going to give for the first time to my audience. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is correct.
I can't wait. And it's not a talk, it's training.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say it's a talk. I'm going to deliver answers that people can take out into the street 1 minute after they hear it and turn it into money.
Yeah, I love that.
And
yeah,
that's why do people come?
Good, because that's what I'm promising them.
No problem.
Awesome. And Jennifer's going to be there as well. Yep. She's going to rock the house. We've got a couple other special guests. It's 3 full days. The early bird pricing actually goes, if you're watching this, through tomorrow. So it's in a great place in Northern Virginia, DC. It's usually not snowing that time of the year, but I can't make any promises. But it'll be worth it.
As you're coming up the road, if you're coming from Washington DC and you're on 495 or whatever, 395, get off at 123. Go to Paolo's right next to the Hyatt and buy me a quart of olive tapenade and a box of breadsticks, please. I'll have my own, but you can never have enough. It is the heroine of olive tapenade.
Oh my gosh.
At Paolo's. So awesome. That's my restaurant tip of the day. My productivity tip of the day. I promise it will get you going. I haven't had it in a couple of years. I'm dying for it, so I can't wait to get there. And I have a calendar marked off until I get. I'll top it.
Excellent. Well, now we know where to take you when you come in town.
Exactly.
For everybody who does come to the event, it's a smaller, intimate event. So you'll have an opportunity to meet Jeffrey and shake his hand. Not one of those events where the speaker comes out and then you don't see them ever. They just hide out the back door and run. It's going to be a little bit.
Not approachable in life. Come on.
He is approachable. He always has been. So again, Jeffrey, thank you so much. We're blessed to have you here. And thanks for all that you're doing. Thanks for writing the book. And if you're watching this, go get the book. The link's somewhere around this video. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Cheers.
In the event here.